All right, '06 Honda Odyssey. Searched everywhere, could not find the fix for it. I found the fix myself today. This is a Touring Edition with the shades for the sliding door windows, all that good stuff. Should only take roughly about an hour and a half. You will need a 10 mil ratchet with extension. Need nose pliers, flathead, Phillips head, and that is roughly it. Oh, multimeter tool. You'll need that. I'll show you that later. So basically, your door would shut, latch for 2 seconds, and then it would pop back out. And then your dome light would stay on. You'd have the thing on the dash going dee while you're trying to drive down the road. So you would actually have to switch the dome light off with the switch, and you'd also have your little slider over there. You have to turn that off too for the beeping you away. So in order to fix it, this is what I did. I removed the door panel. In order to do that, you have to get rid of the black trim that goes around the top, which means you have to pull these two caps. It just takes a flathead. They pop down on an insertion that look like, let me stick that out there. They look like that. So basically you put your flathead in here, push that up, and then these would pop down. I'm sorry, you would flip it down because that's the way it sits, and then these would go away from the track up on top. Once those are removed, you would take a flathead, pry, once the door is partially open, pry from the backhand side on the front and the back directly towards the inside of the vehicle, and that portion will pop in. To get the top portion off, that pulls down, and you will get it where it looks like this. So pop from front and back directly towards the inside of the vehicle, and then for the top portion, it just pulls straight down. So once that is removed, you will be left with just the gray door panel. In order to get it off, you take a flathead screwdriver, wedge in behind this. This pops up and out. Remove the clip for your window switch. For the handle itself here, if you have the proper tool to get that retainer clip off of it, cool. If not, you can take a really thin rag and put it on the inside behind this and do it like you're milking a cow, and that retainer clip should pop off, or it will come off far enough where you can use your flathead screwdriver and pull it the rest of the way out. Door handle pulls off. So once you have the handle off, grab from the bottom, the base. You'll feel like you're going to break it, but you will not. Door will still be partially open because it has clips down at the bottom, and you cannot pull that bottom part of the door out unless that door is partially open. So you grab it, pull it, grab it from underneath, pull it, it pops off. When you want to get it off the top portion, that actually lifts up and out of a track. So here is the door panel. So you can see the handle's off. It just holds in with retainer clips. The door handle, I've got that out of the way. That is what your little clip looks like that holds the handle on. And you just pull it from the bottom first, work your way around. You'll see that there's just little white clips that hold it on. No big deal. And then you'll see this track up at the top. It actually sits in a C-notch on the top of the window. Yours might look different if it doesn't have the shades like mine do, but that's how it holds it on the top of the door. Once that panel is popped off, keep in mind the door will be partially open. Once that panel is popped off, you will have some white plastic here that covers the whole door. It's like a putty type rubber that it just sticks on. It's a pain in the butt. But you would want to peel that back. Most of it was easy for me until I got to this point. Then I started using a knife, and then I said hell with it, and then I just pulled it back on the side because it was super easy and lifted it up. This is what your door looks like on the inside. There is your window switch right there. It's light blue and white. That's what connects to your window. If you notice, there is also 3 notches here. There's one that already has the cable in it. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 1, 2, 3. It's kind of hard holding the camera too. But basically, you'll have cables that come up, they go in there and they seat in. One you'll have to remove with the pair of needle nose pliers. The other one you can just flip with your thumb and it flips down, and then they both pull out of this retainer here. There is a white clip retainer. It's kind of hinged on the bottom, and then it flips up and latches in. So it's something like this, and then it flips up and locks in, but it holds all three of those cables in. Now, as far as these two here, mine are yellow and white. They attach here and here on the door mechanism. But you can see one takes a needle nose plier, twist, pull out. The other one, it just slides directly in, and then that plastic piece pops right back up into it. Now, your mechanism that I already have pulled out, and I've already got the plastic off, but it sits on these two screws. It doesn't sit on them, they actually screw into them. But there's two screws here and a third one right here. They look like this. One has a washer, two do not. The washer one goes for your window retainer, for your track, for your window to go up and down. The other two go in these two holes. They are 10 mil. Before you remove any of these screws, there's 3 screws you have to take off on the back side of the door where it catches that little C-hook, whatever, where it comes in and clasps down on it. These are the 3 screws from the driver's side. Notice 2 are rusty, one is kind of eh. Oh yeah, there's your window retainer that you'll want to put your hand on the inside of the door so it doesn't fall whenever you loosen it up. Otherwise, you got to have some small hands to get in there and to grab it. All right, so let me show you those 3 screws that you have to remove in order to get your mechanism off. With your door open, you can see the 1, 2, 3 screws. Notice 2 are rusty and one is eh. It's the same way it was on the driver's side. So before you take those screws off on the inside, remove those 3 on the outside, because that is all part of that mechanism. Once you have those 3 screws removed, this that sits in here, of course, you got your clips all taken off, your cables are taken off on the front, then you can shimmy it on the inside and wiggle it out. Now, if you're lucky enough and not have to remove that bottom one with the washer to get that clip out that is for your window track, cool. I took mine out just to get out of the way so I wouldn't bend anything and break anything. No big deal. You will have this piece right here. So essentially, this is on the inside of the door. This little piece right here slides up in there, while the rest of it is in the door, kind of like so for the most part. But okay, jumping ahead of myself. So basically, it sits like this. So the black plastic piece goes towards the outside of the car. So this is what you would see. There are your 3 screws that you would remove, 2 on top, 1 on the bottom. There is your yellow and white cables that you would unattach from the door clips, which would be here and here, or somewhere in here. Then you have 2 screws that you need to take off of this plastic piece in order to get to the door. They are there and there, which are those 2 little bitty screws. Once that is removed, then you have full reign and access to your door closing mechanism. And let me take this to the back patio where there's more sunlight, and I'll show you how to test switches if a switch is faulty, because we have a switch here, here, and here. Replacement switch is roughly about 8 to 10 bucks. Way cheaper than what Honda would want to charge. And yeah, I'm all about saving money. I'm not a mechanic, but I like figuring things out. So anyways, to the patio table. All right, so this is the way it would sit in your door. You can see your latch. You can tell that it's nasty, grimy on the inside. I've actually cleaned it up a little bit, so this one looks already better than what it was. But that's the way it sits inside your door. You don't see any of it except for roughly that piece sticking out. So once I have the plastic piece off and I'll flip it over, let me go ahead and spin it around. All right, so here you can see we have a switch, just a little click switch, lets us know when the door is shut. Right now is currently closed. There is another switch up here, and you can hear that clicking. Hopefully you can, but that is another switch. And then this one right here with the green lever on it, that is also a switch. You can test each one of those to make sure they are working properly, and I will show you how. All right, so multimeter. Turn it on. This one's just a cheap, easy version. So basically you wanted to make it where you have sound. So when you touch these together, it makes noise. If you are looking at your switches, down here you'll see this one is a blue and black. This one down here is a white and black. And then this one has a black and red. But these are all three switches. If one of these switches fail, your door could probably do the same thing. In order to test that, you can come to your switch. There's your red and black, white and black, blue and black. Depending on which one you're testing, you can put, let's do it for the red and black. Red is front left corner, black is center, so it looks like this pin in here is center, so I can touch, and then once I close, and it's kind of hard to do with two hands, once I close that circuit, it makes a noise. So that lets me know the switch is good. If you wanted to test on your new switch, which is roughly $8.50, it would be the same scenario, which is just like the ones in here. Little swing arm, same thing. You can see it's identical. It would be the same scenario. Make sure it's where you can hear tone. Test it. Getting tone. Now, if I was to close the switch, that sound will go away. Of course, this is a brand new switch. Hopefully it would work. All right, now to get to my fix. All right, so when I first initially took it apart, I was testing each switch with the plug and making sure it was going the way it should. Now, in my particular instance, this lever was down about halfway. So I could easily test this one through the plug-in. This particular switch, I could not. So I undid the Phillips, pulled it out, and then I tested it that way through the plug-in. It was fine. So I started scratching my head and I started focusing on this one. This one, I could push it down and it would come partially up. Push it down, come up. Push it down, come up. But once it got about halfway, it would get caught. So I started looking around and I noticed on this particular one, which it does get all the grime from outside, the dirt, the water and everything else. I noticed on the back side of this, like I say, it was frozen. And let me see if I can recreate it, which I probably won't be able to. No, it's not letting me because I've already fixed it. But there was a bunch of rust in behind here. So what I did, I sprayed it with some WD-40, got it down in there. I took a flathead screwdriver and I was really working that thing back and forth and I got it free. So now it's super easy. And if you notice on the back side, if I move that lever, you can barely see it coming up on the bottom. It's just ensuring that the door is actually closed. It slides in through here, latches, and your door is closed. So, but what mine was doing, since this was froze open, this was telling the computer that the door was not shut. Once I WD-40'd it, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, I noticed then I could push this down, and just like that is supposed to, it automatically comes around and actuates that switch, letting the computer know that the door is shut. If you follow the white cable, it actually goes to this switch, and when you pull on the white cable, it pushes this down and in turn opens the door. Same thing, you hit the button, the door slides, the door shuts, boom, it actuates it, hits the switch. When you pull the handle on the lever, it activates this because there's the cable, it pulls it towards it. When you pull it towards it, it pushes that down, releases the door, letting them know it's okay to open up the door. That was my issue. It took me an hour and a half to take the panel off, the door part, get this out, spray it with WD-40, work it back and forth. It is now free. I'll throw some lithium grease on it, put all this back together, put it in the door, and it should be fine. But whether it is a $8 to $10 switch, which you would also need to solder in to your existing cable, or if it just needs WD-40 behind this worked in lithium grease, I'll take it as compared to having a contractor or not a contractor, but a mechanic at Honda look at it for $70, $75 an hour. So hour and a half, WD-40, get the rust off of it, move it back and forth, make sure it goes easy, and then the door will shut and open just fine. Thanks. Hope this helps.